Yeah, the picture of the kids down, for God's sake, Jen. Picture of the kids, Jen. Leave it down. Sorry about that. I'm just going to wait for more people to log on. If you're watching this, give it a share. This is an update of current information I have about what's happened with this situation with the young army lads who had their picture taken with me. From what I understand, one young man has been discharged from the army. I've had this now I've spoke to various people within the army, within the regiment, and one of the young gentlemen has been discharged. He's been sacked. His career gone. Because he had a selfie with me. And I believe the reason why he's been singled out of the 24, in fact it wasn't 24, it was actually hundreds, is because he shared the selfie on his social media. How can that be? Jen, where's your phone, babe?
Where's my what?
Phone. Pass me for a sec. So, this young lad, who I believe I know where he's from, the information I'm being given. I need to confirm. I've spoke to a lawyer at the minute. So anyone who knows the young kid, tell him not to go public or speak to any media or any press yet. And I promise him he will have every ounce of support, legally, financially, anything he needs to... Let me just get this up. Anything he needs. This has to... If they've discharged this kid for having a photograph with me, if his career has been ended for having a photograph, from what I understand from someone in the briefing, coming from the man in charge, I want to make sure I've got his name. It was Major, wasn't it? Coming from the Major is that they have to keep the Muslim community happy. This kid's going to be set example, and the reason he's been set an example of, if you're watching this, share it. He's been set an example, so the rest of the British military understand you do not have an opinion, you cannot have an opinion. That's basically what this is. You cannot have an opinion. How can a young kid lose his whole career for having a selfie? Can they even say they support me? If you're in the military, are they allowed? Is this now a sackable offence to say they support me? Are they allowed to think it? Are they even allowed to think it in their head that they support me? And bearing in mind the age of this child, if he's 17 or 18, I believe he joined the military at 16. Say he's 17, for example. When I started my activism, he was 7 years old. So he's not going to have no backdrop on my history, who I am, or anything about me. Yeah, really. All he's going to know is recent developments. So if it's in the last 12 months, he's just going to simply know me as a journalist who works and operates to uncover problems within radical extremism, terrorism, and rape gangs, who was unlawfully imprisoned. That's all he's going to know. That I was a symbol who stands up for free speech. That's all he's going to know. And for having a photo taken with me, he's going to have lost his career. It's like how... If a soldier wrote down, I support Tommy Robinson, will he lose his job for that? What about if he told a priest in confessions, would he lose his job? This is unbelievable that this is happening in Britain. And you know what? I've had messages so far, I've had from different platoons saying, Tommy, come down to our barracks and we'll have our photo taken with you. It's like I am Spartacus. People have to make a decision. I've just spoke to someone else in the military who said this whole situation is making them judge of what they do now with their career, whether they leave the army. Last year, the army changed regulation and laws. They changed laws to say that if you've had previous Class A drug offences, you can still have a job. You will not lose your job. If you work in the army and you get convicted for Class A drug offences, you'll get a warning. So having a photo with Tommy Robinson is far worse than this, than having drug offences, Class A drug offences. That's where it is. That's where we're at. Sharing a photo on your Facebook can end your career within the British Army. Who is in control of the British Army? It seems like the Muslim Council of Britain are the ones dictating what happens within the British Army. If you haven't already, almost 70,000 people have so far signed the petition. Share it, sign it. I'm sorry, because I know, because the website's been inundated, I know people are having problems clicking on and signing. Just keep trying and keep trying, you will get through. The reason why this is important is because we can build a massive A, resistance, B, campaign against whatever happens in this. And if you're the young lad that's been fired or you're his family, I ask you, get in contact with me. I'm not going to leave you out on your own on this at all. Whether it means you've got a problem for your career, whether it means you've got a problem for your wages, I promise you, your wages will be covered. If you have lost your career, I will help in every way I can. You may end up working with me. I'm not going to sit back and leave you out on your own if you've lost your career for having a photograph with me. And I already know that the British public will completely support any campaign to fight for you, to further your career within the British Army, to take legal action against the British Army, or if it was to leave and find appropriate work, then that will also, I'm sure the British public are going to support this. They're not going to see a young boy. I don't know what the army think. You are hiring young men from the most deprived areas and working class areas. This is the infantry, yeah? They're in the infantry. So they come from many of them wouldn't have got great GCSEs or great education. You're hiring them. Many of them would have had family members who have served in Afghanistan and Iraq. Many of them would have known people affected, lost limbs or killed or murdered or butchered at the hands of Islamic terrorists, the same terrorists that our government have allowed to come back after fighting wars with ISIS, and they're walking our streets. Many of them would have a negative opinion on the problems that come from the Islamic ideology. Many of them coming from working class background, poor, deprived areas in Britain. If those areas are affected with Islamic rape gangs, I guarantee you many of those young lads will know families affected by that. What opinion do you want them to have formed? How are you trying to counter their opinion that a young boy cannot take a photograph with a journalist that he sees, that you will end his career? And this is being used as a tactic to scare the rest of the people serving in our armed forces. I personally think that people should make a stand against it. And this boy should not be left out on his own for taking a photo. They could not fire 5,000 members of our armed forces tomorrow if they all come and took a photo or uploaded photos with me. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. If this is not stopped even on this issue, when it comes to free speech, when it comes to rights, if it's not confronted, then what did our forefathers even die for? Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening to your freedoms. Look at it. In every institution, the one institution left in Britain that you're allowed to be patriotic, and they're attacking that. They've infiltrated that with their common purpose beliefs, with political correctness. How must the morale be for British Armed Forces right now, knowing that one of their comrades who was willing to sign up and die and fight with them is just losing his career? I hope that if enough of a stink is kicked off before it's all finalised. From what I understand, he's been sent home. He's been sent home and he's losing his career. So people, sign that petition. Show your frustration, show your comments, contact the army, protest. I will organise a campaign, or the biggest campaign, once I personally speak to this young boy and see where he sits on this and what his views are and what he wants. But if he is, as I said, I promise you, you're not going to be left out on your own on this, man. I'm not going to leave you. You're not going to be left out, walking out jobless and penniless. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen, and the British public will not allow it to happen. I won't allow it to happen personally. So please, the young lad, I feel absolutely devastated that this can happen to someone for having a photograph with me, and that his whole life can change. Do you know what's insane with this is when we talk about the army? When we talk about the army, there was Asim was a captain in the British Army. And he was a Conservative MP candidate. And he was on first-term names with David Cameron. David Cameron had already asked him, actually, what seat he wanted when the Conservatives won government. Okay? Asim, it turned out, because I undercover camera recorded him, he had infiltrated our army. He had spent 10 years as a captain in the British Army. He was a radical, undercover jihadist who was rising his seat to the top to get a seat in politics at the top of this country. Go and Google this story, Afzal Amin. You'll see it went world news. He lost his career. Now, we talk about... I'm seeing so many people say, or if it is right that the Sergeant Major said that the reason they must do something is to keep the Muslim community happy. This is all being done to appease the Muslim Council of Britain. The leader of the Muslim Council of Britain signed a declaration to say that British armed forces were legitimate targets for suicide bombing. I'm just devastated, man. I'm absolutely devastated for this young kid, for his family, for his mum and dad, who have probably been so proud that he's joined the armed forces and everything's lost and like that for a photograph. You don't. This isn't about making a decision on where you stand on me or my beliefs. This isn't about me or my beliefs. This is making a decision on where you stand on freedoms in this country for our armed forces. Do they have a right to have a photograph taken with someone without being reprimanded and losing their career and thrown out on the... I just, if you signed it, sign it, share it, and I'll update again by tonight. I hope to know a lot more by tonight, but I've been contacted by so many people now that it can't be wrong. I even know the regiment the lad's from. It can't be wrong that 2 lads were sent back to Catterick. 2 lads were sent back, taken off exercise and sent back. And one of them has, according to what I've understand, has lost his job. Lost his career. So, what an own goal by the British. You're already struggling to get people to sign up. You struggle to get people to sign up because of the way you treat our armed forces. I'm reading a newspaper today about an ex-terrorist woman, a jihadi's wife, a woman in London who got offered seven council houses and refused all of them. £250,000 towards her and her legal costs and her court cases. Meanwhile, I think is it up to 70% of the homeless on London are ex-forces? You absolute disgrace of an establishment, the way you treat the armed forces, and now what you're doing to this young kid to prove your own political point. Not my political point. I remember, and I feel gutted about this for the sake of the fact it's a photograph with me that's done this to this boy. But again, just... this needs to be challenged. It has to be stopped. Otherwise, everything our forefathers died for is lost. There's no point in it. Because what now? What's next? You're not allowed an opinion. You're not allowed freedom. We'll send you off to fight and die for it in faraway fields. Or we'll send you off to fight and die for oil, which is probably the reason. But just, I'll update you all later. Again, share it some more. Put it on every military chat board, everywhere. People must support this kid. Not support me. This isn't about supporting Tom Robinson. All my beliefs, all my views. It's about supporting a young boy who is a young man, 17, who probably is not politically minded at all. All he probably saw me as is a face or symbol, because that's what it's become over the last 6 months, a symbol against the opposition of rape jihadist gangs that are terrorising young English girls across this country. That's it. That's all he's done is had a photo. Keep trying to sign, but it is crashing. I think it's crashing. All I'd ask, if you are on it, just keep trying, please. Keep trying. Keep trying and make sure that this kid's supported. I'll make sure he's supported.